going to lead you through a scenario where you will actually see the steps that a perpetrator, predator, pedophile takes to victimize a child, to sexually assault a child. Today we're going to take you in this make-believe world of a camp, the first day of camp when all the children arrive, and there's that one camp counselor who is different from all the others. And I want to see if you can pick up on the steps, because as you see how the seduction, how the manipulation takes place, you will begin to understand why the first time we catch a perpetrator, predator, pedophile, they have no criminal record and they victimized on average 32 people. So instead of being Coach Ty for this scenario, I'm going to take on the role of Mr. Whipple. And I am going to meet this individual. Now, first of all, I took this job because I really enjoy working with children. And I'm very selective. So I watched all the children get off the bus, and I'm paying attention to the children, and I'm looking for that one who doesn't have a lot of friends, who's not hanging around anybody else, and I find him. Hi, I'm Mr. Whipple. How are you? You're 12, right?
Yes.
Good. What's your name?
James.
James. You know, James, one of the things that we do at summer camp, and so glad you're here, is we have a junior camp staff member. And that junior camp staff member is one of the campers. And what I do that none of the other supervisors do here is I give my junior camp staffer a t-shirt that says Junior Camp Staff. Would you like to be junior camp staff?
Sure.
You know what you'll get, James, is you'll get extra snacks. You'll also get extra swimming pool time, okay? So James goes off and he cleans up after lunch. And so Mr. Whipple walks up and affirms James. James, great job. Really appreciate it, buddy. James continues to do his work. Part of his assignment is he also will pick up the towels after swimming pool time so that we can clean them and get them ready for the next day. So he's doing a great job. He's been affirmed again. James, that's a great job. You got all the towels up, so we're ready to wash them for the next day. I really appreciate it, James. So glad you did that. Now, James has been promised several things. Now remember, he's also been given a t-shirt, right, that says Junior Camp Staff. You also note that he's getting this extra attention in addition to the privileges of extra snacks and swimming pool time. So here's the other benefit. James, remember I promised you extra swimming pool time? Well, today is your lucky day, but you know, I noticed that some of the other junior camp staff seem like, or not junior camp staff, but other campers, unlike you, they seem to be looking at you like they're a little bit jealous. So we're going to wait until all the other campers are asleep, and I'll come wake you up and you'll get a full 30 minutes of swimming pool time. Would you like that? Yeah. Okay, I'll get you after everybody's asleep. So James is woken up by Mr. Whipple when all the other children are asleep, the other campers, and he's told this: James, come on with me. You can jump in. I'm going to be over here doing some paperwork, and I'll give you about 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes is up, you can change and go back to the dorm. Is that okay? Yes. Okay, great. So in the meantime, James jumps in the swimming pool, and Mr. Whipple has props. So if someone could give me a book or some papers, I see it over there, okay? And we're going to see just how methodical and devious this is. So we're getting Mr. Whipple's prop off stage, and he's coming back, and he approaches James that's in the swimming pool. James, I need you to get out of the swimming pool. I've been reading through the reports and found that one of the campers used the bathroom in the swimming pool earlier today. We're going to have to drain it overnight while you guys are asleep, and I'm going to have to collect your swimming gear because we're going to have to put that in a biohazard bag. Also, I know your mother doesn't want you to get sick, and I'm going to have you just jump in and shower and throw your trunks out, and then I'll throw some clothing in. There'll be towels in the back room in the back of the shower. Hurry up and do that because I don't want you to get sick, okay? So James, in the meantime, he jumps in the shower, he does what Mr. Whipple says, he throws his swimming trunks out, and he's waiting for other clothes to come in. He goes to the back, looking for towels to dry off after he gets out the shower, and guess what? No towels. He comes back to the entry point of the shower room that leads outside, and he screams out, "Mr. Whipple, Mr. Whipple, I need some clothes." Mr. Whipple doesn't respond. 10 minutes later, he yells out again, "Mr. Whipple, Mr. Whipple." Mr. Whipple doesn't respond. So finally, James comes out with no clothes on, covering himself up as best he can, and Mr. Whipple is standing right there. "Young man, I have never had a junior camp staff come out with no clothes on. If your parents found out what you did, you'd be in a world of trouble. Take these clothes, give me those trunks, and get dressed and go to your room." The next day, James, not quite sure of what to make about what just happened, is very tentative as he's cleaning up after lunchtime. Ordinarily, he had been affirmed by Mr. Whipple, punched on the shoulder, patted on the back, told what a great job he was doing, but this time Mr. Whipple looks at him and through him like he's not even there. He picks up the towels after swimming pool time. Mr. Whipple gives him no attention whatsoever. Remember, he's been wearing that t-shirt, junior camp staff. So the other campers really aren't associating with him that much because they're probably thinking in the back of their mind that James is a narc, a stoolie, a snitch. And so when it comes down to having that pillow fight at night, guess who's not going to be invited to participate? James, because he's junior camp staff. So the next day, James goes through his routine. He picks up after lunch, and Mr. Whipple approaches him. "Young man, I've been thinking about what to do about your situation. I don't know if we should just kick you out of this camp because of what you did the other day. You took advantage of me. We're going to have to talk about this after the children are asleep. Do you understand?" So after the children are asleep, Mr. Whipple comes to get James. And he says this, "James, I'm going to keep your secret. I don't want you to get in trouble. But there's some other things that are going to have to happen for me to keep your secret. Do you understand?" James is now thinking that he's responsible for his own victimhood. Mr. Whipple is now using the first incident of sexual abuse as leverage to reoffend and perp on James again. Folks, what you just witnessed is something we call the victim selection process. There are various steps within that whole process that leads towards victims.